So I made myself pretty and everything.
You've got all ready. So good for you.
Right. Everybody go and follow Erin immediately.
Yes.
And yeah.
I'm sorry. I do. I'm not super on TikTok, if you can't tell. I am planning on very much getting into TikTok, and I do feel like I should bring it, just like bombard it with all of the reels that I have over on my Instagram and just start there and then, keep putting them on. But I'm not very on here. So, when you go there, you see about 3 posts from
Bless you. Don't worry. You've got to start somewhere, right? And where better than right here with us. So Nova, author and voice of sin. Sir. Voice of sin. I don't make me sweat. Okay. It's been a hot day. Okay, right. So welcome. Completely different time, but to the Shady Book Club. We are back in our normal space and time. And for those of you that came over to my live, thank you. We'll try it again another day, but I'm now stressed and scarred for life. Today we have Erin Page, the queen of heartthrob romance.
Oh my gosh.
It's very... So my take on your book was that it was it was such a good palette cleanser because I love it dark and dirty, basically. So it's nice to come up for some air and read something that is a little less, I'm going to stalk you to the ends of the earth and burn the world down.
Yes, I mean, we all love those books though, don't we? And I'm the same. You do need some kind of like palette cleanser between what you would normally read.
Absolutely.
And like when it's all kind of starting to feel a bit the sameness.
Yeah. It gets savage, and then you're just like, you almost become a little bit numb to it. So to read something as, I call it cutesy, and that's no disrespect at all, but something as cute, even though there were little parts in there that had me going, sir. Yeah, it was just a completely different, and it was so nice, and it was lovely. Keep going.
That's so kind.
Shah, do you have a hot take on the book? And I'm just going to pull the questions up and we'll get...
Exactly the same. Very similar take on you. Obviously, we are usually dark romance, and this was a palette cleanse for us, but so beautiful. Like I said, there was parts in it where Jake was like showing his assertive side, shall we just say?
A little bit of a jealous streak.
Yeah, it is kind of a flip for his character when that all starts to kind of unravel and you see stuff, and yeah, it does feel quite like a flip. I even had somebody say to me the other day, they're like, I'm halfway through reading it and Jake just seems so like perfect, like he never says the wrong thing and he's always saying the right thing and being in the right spot and doing the right things, and it's like nobody's that perfect. And for me, I was like, I agree 100%. But that's kind of the point, is that I feel like a lot of the book, even though it is said through Jake's POV as well, you're kind of still learning him all through Amelia's side. And so when she does, and that's how she sees him, is this like perfect, like, I'm not good enough and all that kind of stuff. So then when her confidence starts to build and her self journey sort of gets to that time in the book, that's when you kind of start to see the cracks of Jake and realize, oh, he's not perfect.
We love them. Even when they're naughty, we love them. Okay, right. So our first question is, what was your first book and when was it published?
Reckless Omission is my first book. It came out in January. So I was like January 30th. So I'm now on like, oh my gosh, 3 months a published author. Look at me go. So it came out in January. It has been quite a ride. It took about 2 years to write, and sort of like from first word to publish. Of course, there were breaks in between, but Reckless Omission is my first book.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Are we going backwards and forwards today, or do you just want me to do the questions?
Yeah, so we can go backwards and forwards. So what influences your book genre choices?
I mean, I like to read everything, but I feel like I just love, like, I think that we love rom-coms because they're like in our world and we can kind of picture ourselves in those spots. And we're like, oh, I wish there was a man like that. And like, you kind of almost realistically wish that there was a man like that. Whereas, like, in a dark romance, you're like, yeah, but I don't actually want a stalker serial killer.
Yeah, no, I don't.
You know what I mean? Like, there's such a difference between like how you feel and then like the reality of the situation. So contemporary for me made a lot of sense because I feel like I can put so much realness into it and have people feel these like real emotions that they can kind of pull into their real life and experience, and they've probably been there before and they've understood these things and they've gone through similar experiences. Whereas of course dark romance or like monster romance or like whatever you want to go, like you can feel the same emotions but it can't sit with you as realistically, I feel.
Yeah. I always find that I mean, me and Shah are the same. Like, we always imagine ourselves to be the FMC. Yeah. So with a contemporary, with something that's a little bit more like rom-com, you can actually, like, I cried so hard whilst reading Aaron McLean's book because it was so almost lifelike. There are parallels to your actual dating life. And I was like, I've literally been her and I hated it. And now I'm crying because someone in a book is going through it and I know how she feels. So I think that is the really nice part about reading a book that is more regular, not regular, regular is the wrong word, but more lifelike. Rather than everybody's a billionaire, everybody's like trotting around in loops all day long and no one knows what.
Did like a review post, they're like, oh, billionaire Jake, and I'm like, yeah, no, he's not. Like, if he was a billionaire he would have his own office building. If he was a billionaire like she would go to his apartment, like that kind of stuff. But then somebody on the flip side through my ARC team said that it's like your favorite Hallmark movie but with like realistic apartments and realistic wardrobe money. Like, so,
absolutely. All right, so what sorry, what are your favorite tropes to read yourself?
Oof, showing myself a bit here, I really enjoy anything kind of forbidden. And like that could be forbidden in the way that it's like Jake and Amelia's, it's a secret relationship, it's like they're not really supposed to because you know whatever. But it could also be like a brother's best friend, it could be someone's dad, it could be like anything, you know, like those like forbidden things where it's like we shouldn't but we want to, but we shouldn't but we can kind of stuff. And like that push and pull of it. Yeah, so I love reading that.
I'm so feral for brother's best friend. I don't know why.
Oh my gosh, no. And there is such a difference between brother's best friend and best friend's brother.
Yes. Because best friend's brother, you're immediately the arsehole.
Yeah, so true.
Because you should not be crushing on your best mate's brother. Again, I have no best mates who have hot brothers. Like, I need better friends.
I don't know, what's up with that? How freaking rude of our friends to not have hot brothers. Yeah, I feel like with the best friend's brother too, it's like you meet the friend, you immediately think their brother is hot. So it's like that immediate connection. Whereas with a brother's best friend, you probably think they're as annoying as your brother is.
Yeah.
So there's those, it's a different dynamic for sure. Yeah. Anyway.
So what's your ideal writing conditions?
Oh my gosh, to write, I need absolute silence, preferably. Sitting on my couch, blanket on, social water bottle has to be right next to me so that I'm comfortable. And then just laptop on my lap, usually on a cushion. I have one of those lap writing desks, but I forget that I have that, so I end up just with a cushion.
You know, you'd be surprised at how diverse that question is.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they don't want heavy metal music. It's kind of like, oh, I like a bit of classical in the background, or They're like you, complete silence.
Yeah, which is, look, not easy when you have a child. So it's usually like late night, kind of after that, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, I recently found out that I'm a good morning writer, which was very annoying because I don't like to wake up.
I have some clarity first thing in the morning. So I can imagine that makes so much sense because my brain isn't running at 1,000 miles an hour with all of the day's stresses resting on me. So in the morning, I'm a bit like,
yeah,
half an hour of the day, I'm golden. And then it all goes back to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And even, when I like work and stuff, it's like you put all your important stuff at the beginning so that like your brain's fresh and ready and you go. But yeah, no, that just doesn't work for my writing. I feel like my good creativity comes out at nighttime when I can just kind of like dump everything into the writing.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. What research did you do for this book? What did you do to immerse yourself into the situation to get it out?
The beautiful thing is that a lot of the emotions come from sort of my life, so I didn't have to do much around there. But I had to do weird little strange things. Like for the most part, until probably like final editing right before ARC, Jake didn't have a very specific job.
Okay.
Like he was in finance and he had all of that, but like it was never mentioned like, yes, I'm a financial advisor. It was very like wishy-washy, and I feel like I kept that for so long because I wanted her to still have this sort of big idea of Jake. But then it kind of became a bit of a problem. So I did have to end up Googling like finance careers and like seeing what sort of thing fit. And then I had to, even like his advisor Bill, I had to like Google if Bill could do these things legally. And because if it couldn't be done legally, then does that throw into question Jake's honor and his loyalty and his, his whole personality. And then just like little weird things. Like I had to Google like divorce proceedings, like the work that he works on, to like make sure that any of that I'm not like completely screwing over. Yeah, so like weird little things like that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Is there anything you've learned about yourself since writing?
Yeah, I've learned that I am in fact creative.
Which
sounds so strange. I've always loved writing, and I've always I haven't like ever written a book before. I haven't written even like short stories necessarily, but I used to do poetry and things like that way back in the depressing youth, and so I have written, and I always have enjoyed it, and I've always sort of excelled, and I always, got A's and whatever in my English classes. But I always thought of creativity and art as visual, which I feel like probably a lot of people do. It's like, oh, I can't paint, so I'm not creative. Oh, I can't draw, so I mustn't be creative. Like those kinds of things. And that's just like, there's so many different ways to create.
Yeah.
In like every field. And so I feel like with writing this, I was like, oh, if I can write 140,000 words and turn it into a real book, then I must be creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that felt nice to like have that.
You are definitely very creative after that.
Thank you.
I think, I don't know if you know this lady that's in the chat, DM Henderson.
I do. I love her.
So she's obviously plot, I wish I could see you, Erin. And I think we all do. So if anybody's in the chat that doesn't already follow Erin Page, this wonderful author, please do go and give her a follow. She has this amazing book that's out currently, so go and check that out. Oh, that's my baby. I love that.
I'm going to follow. I already follow you. That was a stupid thing. Sorry. I just managed to, and I always manage to look at things and go, oh no, I'm going to kick myself out. I actually did it today. There we go. We're very special. Can you tell we're still getting used to doing all of this, Jazz?
It's fun. Well, clearly I'm no better at it, so you're doing better than me.
We do try. I pressed the wrong button on my other phone, and then I ended up just in Narnia. Like,
Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back.
let me try and my next question. Is it my question or is it your question?
Yeah, it's question 7 that we've got on there.
Excellent. Okay, so what part in your book do you find the most difficult to articulate?
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, good question. Good question.
That is a hard question.
Yeah. I don't know if it's any like specific thing, but I do feel that either the very emotional words, they either come to me or they don't.
Yeah.
And I can't force that kind of a thing. Like you could force yourself to write any random conversation in a bar. You could force yourself to write the spicy scenes and like sort of know what happens and the logistics and the, all that kind of stuff and the ooh babies and the where the hand placement is and all that. But I feel like when it comes to those really emotional stuff, you have to, like for me, that's pretty tricky to get out in a way that is concise but makes sense. Luckily for me, like Amelia was not very concise, so you could kind of she was such a rambler. Right. So it was just very like her POVs are very just sort of stream of consciousness as they sort of come out. But yeah, those really like emotional things, those ones that like is the marketing quotes and stuff like that. Sometimes they come out and I'm like, oh my God, there it is. And like you write it and you're like, and I've like written a comment that I'm like, this is marketing, like on the side of it. But then other times you're sitting there going, how am I ever going to explain what she's feeling right now? How am I ever going to explain this connection between them? So those kinds of moments are fairly hard to articulate because it is such a feeling more than putting it into words.
Yeah. I think for me, reading those parts, it always brings up my own level of vulnerability. Mm-hmm. Like, and I think it's so raw as any form of creator. So even if you're an artist putting paint on a canvas, there's a level of vulnerability to put your actual pain or because you've got to channel it in from yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
And they think, was it Erin who said it? He found it difficult to write the heartbreak, to write the part or the build up to the heartbreak because it was diving into his own emotions. And I suppose you have to kind of do the same thing.
Yeah.
To communicate yourself.
For me, like I'm such an empath in life, and so it's so easy for me to have never been through a situation but be able to feel how that might feel through someone else. Like when somebody's telling me a story and it's like heartbreaking and I will just sit there and sob with them because it's just like you feel it, and you feel for them and it's all of that. So yeah, like getting that vulnerability is hard. I mean, I said before, like Amelia's emotions are very much my own, but she has a very different past than I do. But I still had to be able to channel into that, I still had to be able to pull that out. And so I just find other hurts and other heartbreaks that make sense from my own life, from anybody else's, from things that I've heard, from people I know, like whatever it is.
Yeah, I think from his point of view as well, he was very vulnerable, weren't he? He kind of didn't want to tell her about Lucy and stuff. I was like, please just tell her already. I kind of got it as well. It was like, I understand him kind of keeping it back. At the same time, it was such a hard one, that kind of situation.
And it's so hard to write something like that because, like, I knew that was going to suck for them when that all happened. But also I didn't want to make him the bad guy. I didn't want it to come out of any, like, I hid this from you. I didn't want it to come out of some kind of, like, I didn't want him to come across as he's a liar. He had to be redeemable. And so that was a tricky sort of thing to make. And so if it comes from his heavy sense of protection, then that makes sense.
It totally does. So are any of the characters based on people you know or yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess not a full character, but there are pieces. So things like Amelia's self-growth journey is my own. Things like Gloria, she is so out there and wild and amazing. That she's just this bright spark, but also can get really deep. And at the time that I began writing Gloria, I had this friend who was this bright, amazing, like so out there, so just like says the whole things, does the whole things, doesn't care what people around her think because she's so freaking confident in herself. And her name was Gloria, so I stole that. Yeah. And like they're not the same person at all, but it's like the energy of it. Things like that, like Jake's cleanliness and like compulsiveness in that sort of way, that's my husband. Things like, like little pieces of the characters sort of come from people that
Nice
that I
to
know.
have a clean husband.
Oh my gosh, I know. Very lucky.
I love that. Amazing. Which of your side characters do you think could have their own book?
Maybe I should flip this back to you because I've been asked specifically for very specific side characters to have a side book.
For me, twin
Uh-huh.
sisters.
What did you
Who was
say?
it?
Jane.
Oh, James. Yep. That typically is number one.
Yeah, and I need to know what's going on there, and obviously how it ended with her as well. I don't want to put any spoilers in there, but obviously the very end chapter, how it ended for Jane, I was like, oh my god, we need to know what's happening here.
Okay, so we've got someone said they need Jane and Alex's book. Someone said Alex. Somebody else is saying, I don't even know her, but I want Gloria.
Alex's stuff would be so good, actually.
Yeah. So Jane and Alex are the number one top requested extra additional book. People want them so badly, and I think because Jane is fun, and then Alex is like this broody billionaire who's just like, I don't want to be here and like get me out, and then like but still sort of has that like little possessive hand on the back of Jane, which like shows that like their connection. So they're like the number one request. I do get Gloria and Dean. They're like, can we see like them in high school? Like, can we see them just starting out? Like them. I get them. I've had somebody say they want to see like Vanessa's wily ways, who's like the other lawyer, and they're like, because she's obviously so open about her encounters and all that sort of stuff, that they're like, we want to see that. Like, can you write that? So yeah, I do get some requests for those.
Somebody just said we need all of the things. All of them.
All of it.
Someone said Dean, great name. I'm guessing that's somebody you know.
So how do you deal with writer's block?
Two ways. If the writer's block is coming out of stress, I just don't write.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I would get writer's block. I mean, I don't feel like I felt that really strongly, like a full proper writer's block, but it would be because my life is flipping over and turning upside down, and it's just too hectic to get creative and sit in that. So I pause and I take a break, and that might be a day, weeks, it might be months. There was months of not writing anything for Reckless Omission. But if it's more than likely this is what's happening, is that I've got to a point in the book that is hard to write for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know how to convey the emotion that's going to happen in the next scene. It's that the next scene is kind of a bit boring. It's one of those like intermittent filler pieces before the big plot devices. Like it's that sort of stuff, in which case I just faff my way through it and force something onto the page until I get past it. And then I go back and I go, this sucked, and like delete the whole thing and rewrite it how it should be. But yeah, so there's those kind of two different feelings for me, and one is just writer's block because I don't want to, and it's not going to come easily. And then the other writer's block is there's too much happening and you just can't sit in the creation.
Okay, fair. Okay, right. If you could cast the movie of Reckless Omission, who would your main male character be and your main female character be?
You know, this often comes up in my street team, and I absolutely have no idea. And it's not out of any, like, no one's good enough. It's just that I, like, more than anything, I can't get the faces to look right.
Yeah.
I can find the vibes, and I can find the, like, attitude. I could even, like, you know, find the body if that's what you're looking for. But, like, I can't find the face. And it is mentioned very briefly the first time that Amelia meets Jake. And she says that he has Zac Efron hair.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at this, like trying to find a descriptive image of Jake so that I could kind of like copy the description in a little way. And there was this one picture of Zac Efron, and I was like, I have never seen him look attractive before. And then and then now I feel like that's has not dated well because he's changed his face. So I don't know. I can't pick. But Amelia is very like airy-fairy, very not like a hippie, but she is very chill. You know, like she doesn't care too much about her looks, not until she's just like a natural beauty, you know. So it would have to be somebody who's just sort of like organically beautiful. It may be in like a different kind of way. Like she's got way too big eyes, or like way too, I don't know. She's mentioned that she looks like a young Liv Tyler. So I don't know if there are any young Liv Tylers anywhere.
Somebody, DM Henderson has said, I would pay to see Jake as Chris Evans. So
do you know, I could actually probably see that. If he had like the dark hair and like that like swishy hair that Jake has, I could probably see that.
Yeah.
Because he could be like kind of cute. Like you know what? He actually could probably get some of the feelings right. He could probably play that.
Wonderful NAMCD is coming as well, who's another wonderful author as well. I've just seen
Thank you so much.
I love her. So how do you keep on top of the who, what, where, and how?
Well, through Reckless Omission, I just kept it in my head. Luckily, I have a pretty decent memory. Because I wasn't really expecting it to go anywhere. I wasn't, you know, sort of expecting it to actually become a book that I would publish, you know. It was like the dream, like when you start writing a book, you're like, yeah, of course I'm going to publish this. So I just kind of didn't really do too much. I would sort of hold things in a random document. I had just, you know, like a page for Jake, and it was like brown hair, 6'3", 33 years old, like finance guy, like such basic stuff. But then now I have it fully, properly set out. Again, it wasn't until the end of maybe like beta read stage that I actually even wrote a timeline for Reckless Omission, which was like, it's wild because so much happens. And especially because there is that workplace that it has to be, is it a weekend or is it not a weekend? Because I can't say like, oh, it's Friday morning, and then the next chapter be like the next day where I also went into work. So I do have to keep track of that stuff. So my timeline was very much like this chapter, their POV, that song of the day, this is what happened. Did it have spice? How many word counts? Like kind of thing. What day of the week is it? What date would that be? Is that a month later? Like it was, I had like to the like, where is the next chapter in relation to the previous chapter? And, you know, it would say like there was mention 2 days earlier, or weird little things like that I kind of had to start keeping track of. And now I've learned to do that from the beginning.
Yeah.
So yes. I would, so I currently have like different, almost complete separate documents for each like character. And I'm kind of starting to work a bit of a timeline. But that will, like, after sort of first draft, they'll get that all more set, because it does change a lot.
Okay, so if you had an untapped budget, who would you and you could, you know, do your book as an audiobook, like who would you have, how would you do it? What would be your dream scenario to do an audiobook, budget be damned?
I mean, I would love to do an audiobook. I recently just came across a narrator, and I cannot for the life of me remember his name, and I'm scared to get out of the app in case I delete everything. I might be able to look it up on my computer, but his voice, oh my god, like the shock of it when he spoke. Yeah. He literally said the intro to the book, and I was like, I'm gonna need to sit on a towel. It was.
What was the book?
I need to find it. The book was called "Can I Tell You Something?" Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can.
Can I tell you something? Audiobook.
Yeah, can I tell you something? Audiobook. I'm going to Audible right now.
Information coming up, guys.
We've casted so far Dakota Johnson.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
And Mackenzie Foy.
Mackenzie Foy.
Yeah,
wasn't she the Bella's child in Twilight?
Yeah, she was indeed. Do you know what? That could work.
Yeah, it could.
She does look like a young Liv Tyler.
Oh, Adam Gold is the narrator.
It is, I just saw that. Adam Gold. And so then, after I heard his voice in this, I was all like, hey, what else has he done? And it's all pretty much fantasy, which is not my, like, dream scenario, but he does do other things. I do read fantasy. It's just not my, like, go-to, you know? So
I actually prefer to listen to fantasy, because then the world building that they do is just so much more fun and believable when I'm hearing it. Like, I don't know how I tap into it better whilst listening to fantasy. But reading fantasy, I try to skip chunks where they're world building, and then you just end up lost because you don't know what anything's called.
Yeah, true. Good point. Yeah, because if you hear it, it kind of taps into a different section of your brain that makes you remember that that's the place where the thing happens.
Yeah, with the thing and the whoops and the whoops. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I do with dark romances. I prefer to listen to my dark babies, because maybe it's just that I like the voices, I don't know, but it just I feel it, and I'm like, oh, and it just feels good to, like, listen to a dark one.
Yeah, there's nothing better than him saying something and then it says as he growled, but he does it. And you're just like, okay,
yes,
pick up my ass. You do our best. So Nova, what would I have heard you in, or what can I find you in? What can I go and research? Unless you want to come and talk to us now.
What do you mean? What can you go and research? What?
No, sorry. There's a comment here from Nova, who's an author and voice of Sin. I'm just asking what of their work I can go and have a look at or listen to.
Oh, for Adam Gold?
No, for Nova. He's in the chat. Sorry, I don't know if you can see the comments at the bottom.
Oh.
Also, Erin, have you got any books that we're currently writing or got coming up?
Yeah.
We sure do have books that we're writing. It's gonna be a little while, because I did start writing a side story to Reckless Omission, and then I decided that that is not the story that should come out next.
Oh.
So Reckless Omission was written always as a standalone. It was never meant to be part of a series. It was never meant to be, like, have all these side stories. And then people started asking for the side stories, and I'd already written one of them. But then early this year, I decided that that's probably not the next one to come out. And I couldn't focus because I wanted to write this next one so badly. Yeah. So now I am currently writing another full length that is not part of Reckless Omission. It's a completely separate book. And that will be coming out at some point. I'm still first drafting it. It will be going to alphas and betas in the next coming months, and then it will be coming out. I have not literally said a single word about it. I've not said who anyone is. I have not revealed a title. I have not, given any like tropes or anything, because I really just kind of want to sit inside of Reckless Omission for a bit longer. Yeah. I want people to read that. What I can tell you is that all of my books will have a crossover from someone. So as my world builds, we will start to see characters sort of pull in from other books, which obviously with the second book, someone has to come from Reckless Omission.
Yeah.
So whether that's a main character or a side character, or they just kind of pop in, like, they walk into the cafe, or like someone needs a finance guy and somebody's like, oh, hey, I know a finance guy. Like that kind of thing. You'd kind of be like, oh, that's meant to be like them. So there will be in every book a crossover. So at some point, I'm going to put up a post that asks who people want to be in that crossover, who people think it's going to be. I mean, it's already written, you don't get a choice, but but I'm curious. I know who people want to see, but I can tell you there'll be more than one character from Reckless Omission in the next book, in any sort of large or minor way, which I am yet to reveal.
So my last question, do you have a following on Instagram? I know you said you haven't really done much on TikTok, but you have a following.
Yeah. I mean, it's small, but it's the biggest one I've ever had. We're about to hit 2,000.
I love that. Excellent. Best thing to do is to tease them onto TikTok, is to reveal something on your TikTok page. They have to come over and look, if that makes sense.
Well, look at you with the marketing plan. Oh my goodness, are we about to be best friends?
Are we about to be best friends?
Let's become best friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good way to do it. And yeah, just check out you have to check out the big dogs and then just start building it and just go for it, because TikTok is so much fun.
Yeah. Yes.
We are small on Instagram, but we are very loyal. We love that. We love a loyalty.
So much.
Taking notes, no problem. I do have little gems every now and again, so you've got to keep your ear to the grind. But I am very interested. I don't think I can invite on this one. You need to make me a moderator in your lives. Oh God, I'm sending.
Am I inviting in?
We're inviting Nova in.